Welcome, everybody, to this episode of The Monthly Blend, a monthly video podcast brought to you by Next, powered by Shulman Rogers and the Big Idea Connectpreneur community. I'm Tien, Wong, founder and host of Connectpreneur. We are a global community of over 30,000 investors, founders, and business leaders. I'm also CEO of Opus 8, which helps companies and fund managers raise capital through our network of over 4,000 accredited private investors, angels, and family offices throughout the U.S. Along with my co-host, Anthony Millin, who's the founder and chair of Next, powered by Shulman Rogers, we're pleased to bring this monthly video podcast, which covers trends, information, as well as fascinating interviews with game changers and newsmakers here in the Washington, D.C., Baltimore Metroplex. Anthony and I started this podcast about 2.5 years ago as a way to increase awareness of cool, innovative happenings in our region, to break down silos, and also to serve as a mechanism to do our part in helping to bring the region together to help foster innovation and entrepreneurship here. And today, we're absolutely thrilled to have a conversation with 4 leaders in the DMV and Baltimore communities, and they're entrepreneurs and business leaders in this region, and we're thrilled to have this conversation. We will be having each of our guests self-introduce, but I do want to name them first. We have Natalie Buford-Young, who's the CEO of Springboard Enterprises, Lisa Friedlander, who's with Citrine Angels, as well as Chief Marketing Officer of Next, powered by Shulman Rogers, Julie Melnick, CEO and founder of Sky Squad, and Karen Maschi, CEO and founder of Veza Innovations. I'd love to have them all introduce themselves. Why don't we start with you, Natalie? Welcome.
Thank you, Tien. Thank you, Anthony. I'm Natalie Buford-Young. I'm the CEO of Springboard Enterprises, and Springboard is a 23-year-old organization that accelerates the growth of women-led companies in technology, healthcare, and life sciences. And in our 23 years, almost 900 women have come through our formal program. And of those, we've had 27 IPOs, 10 unicorns. We've had 225 significant M&A transactions, and our companies have built over $39 billion in value. We're currently running programs in life sciences, digital health, women's health innovation, and retail technology, in addition to our popular and long-running Dolphin Tank pitch event series.
Love it, Natalie. Thank you for all you're doing. Lisa, welcome. Please tell us about yourself. Yeah.
Thanks, Tien. Thanks, Anthony. So great to be on this side of the podcast. My name is Lisa Friedlander. I'm here wearing my Citrine Angels hat as a co-founder and board member of Citrine Angels. My day job, as Tien mentioned, I get to work with Anthony on Next. But today I'm excited to be here to represent Citrine. We are a fairly new organization launched right before COVID, and we have a dual mission to support female entrepreneurs, providing access to capital, and to create, cultivate, and educate more women check writers. So we just had an exciting milestone ourselves. We crossed the $1 million mark in investments. We've invested in, I think over 20 businesses. We have 60 plus members now. Half of our board is BIPOC. The third of our membership is BIPOC. And we are really excited about the future and what's changing for female founders here, but not just in the Mid-Atlantic region, but nationally. And thrilled to be here. Thank you.
Awesome, Lisa. Thank you so much. And speaking of female founders, we have 2 amazing ones. Julie, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much for having me today. As the founder of Sky Squad, I'm very passionate about improving the airport experience. I have 2 kids that are almost both teenagers now, but when they were much younger, traveling with them was very hard, very challenging. And I wanted to start a company to make it easier for moms so that when they went through the airport, they would have an extra set of hands, a nice person to count on, like having a friend at the airport. And we've really expanded now so that we're helping not just moms, but really everyone. We have a large contingency of seniors that use us. We actually have an airline partnership with Spirit down in Fort Lauderdale, where we have a lot of success there in helping people not only have an extra set of hands, but actually speeding up the process so that they can get through quicker through the check-in experience and the TSA experience. So we're so excited about where we are, and we're so excited to grow. And I'm just so happy to be here. Thank you.
Thanks. Looking forward to learning more in a few minutes. And last but not least, we have Karen Maschi, CEO and founder of Veza Innovations. Welcome, Karen.
Thank you for having me. Veza Innovations, we're a consumer products health company focused on parent and child wellness, as well as early childhood development. And we're the creator of the first ever sit-to-stand convertible high chair, which We can share information on how to receive that information later, but we're currently in development, launching end of year, and have many more products in our pipeline, and excited to have a conversation with everyone.
Terrific. Well, thank you guys for joining us. And I'd love to turn things over now to my co-host, Anthony Millin. Anthony is a serial entrepreneur. He's a venture capitalist, and he's also one of the nation's leading startup attorneys. Anthony is the founder and chair of Next, powered by Shulman Rogers. And Next is disrupting the way legal services are being delivered. They offer a unique fixed price structure, which allows for expert legal advice at a predictable cost for early stage companies. And in the last 2 years, Next has been recognized nationally by winning Legal Week's Startup Emerging Law Firm of the Year. They've been a finalist at the American Lawyer's Most Innovative Law Firm Award, and also Legal Week's Most Innovative Legal Department Award. Congratulations on everything, Anthony, and take it away.
Great. Thank you, Tien, and thank you, Lisa and Julie and Karen and Natalie. It's really great to have you on the show today. Where I'd really like to start today is talking about the ecosystem on a macro level and also specifically from a female founders and investors perspective. How you see the ecosystem in the DMV today versus a few years ago from those different perspectives. And maybe we'll start from on a founder side and maybe start, Julie, with you.
Sure. We started raising money about 2 years ago. So that's kind of the perspective that I have. I think that there are more and more investors that are paying attention to women founders. We were very lucky to find our lead investors actually from a cold email, which is unbelievable because they say that cold emails don't work. But a cold email outreach landed in the inbox of Elevate Capital, and they really focus on female and minority founders. And we were so grateful to that because I do really feel that we were overlooked in a lot of ways by the traditional VCs. I think, there is still sort of like this, a little bit of bias. I think, women need to kind of work harder to get in front of investors. And I think that it's changing. I really do see the change over the past 2 years, but it's still, I think, a focus that more VCs need to pay attention to women and give them more of a chance to tell their story because that's the only way they're going to get in front of investors. And I think the more women that are able to become VCs, the more women will have the opportunities to grow as well.
Great. Thanks, Julie. And Karen, how has it's been for you?
That's really interesting. So I'm in a similar boat. I think now the focus is to the point of the focus more on women. But I do believe that there needs to be more continuing support, guiding female founders, especially in the beginning and supporting them in the beginning, because at times that's the hardest part to start, get the kickoff going or start the runway. And I do, the trend is obviously leaning more towards the attention on female founders and accelerating their businesses and helping them. But I still think there's a lot more work to be done. And I do agree that a lot of VCs overlook some of our companies. So hopefully that will change soon.
When you talk about it changing and you talk about it from the investor's perspective and just kind of ecosystem support, Natalie, you've been a leader in this area for many years now. How have you seen things evolving?
Well, I agree with Karen. We've made progress. There's still more to be done. We've been at it for 23 years. So, I think back to both Julie and Karen's comment, I think it is harder when women are solving predominantly women-oriented problems because the investor community is still predominantly male. However, that being said, we just launched our inaugural Women's Health Innovation cohort, and founders in our cohort have raised as much as $26 million. And we have early stage, typically post-seed approaching Series A. So a lot of the barriers are being moved, and there are more women investors in the market, thanks to folks like Lisa and Citrine Angels and others that are bringing capital to the forefront specifically for women entrepreneurs. So there's progress there. I look at the DMV, we have a great base of talented women entrepreneurs that are bringing really successful companies forward. I think about DC from an overall industry's perspective. It's solid for technology, has been for a long time. It's continuing to build around life sciences and healthcare. Karen, I hate to say for you, consumer products companies are not as well supported in the DC market. So I'm hoping it's changing for you, and we'll see what we can do to be helpful there. But, overall, still a great market. We're still seeing tremendous success for our women entrepreneurs.
In terms, Lisa, you've kind of sat on all sides of this. You've been both an entrepreneur launching your own company through exit, and you're active on the investor side, and also through Next, the work to support founders. How have you seen this evolution in the marketplace on a macro and for female founders specifically?
Yeah, I fully agree. There's no doubt that progress has been made. My company launched and raised money a decade ago, and, huge shout out to Springboard. They're the original sort of GOAT in all of this, female founders. It was Springboard, and you had 500 startups, and you had Y Combinator, and that was it. There was nothing, and there was certainly nothing mass marketed to female founders to help them get from point A to point B and point C. Springboard is the original OG there. So now the good news is there are lots of new accelerators, there's lots of new funds, there's lots of new, grants out there, opportunities. But to set the stage, or let's throw some stats out there, both that are some positive and ones that are not so positive. The number of female founders have doubled since 2009. That's awesome. Number of women graduating 4-year colleges surpassed the number of men. More than 20% of all startups now have at least one female founder. Women have finally crossed the 10% threshold of Fortune 500 companies with 53 CEOs. The critical number between 2014 and 2022, female-led S&P 500 companies outperformed male-led companies by 384% in returns. But still, companies with a solo female founder are still raising less than 2% of all venture capital. And women are still less than 15% of all check writers. So yes, there are a lot of female founders out there. Female founders in combo, men-female founder teams are doing better. They raised over $32 billion in over 3,000 deals in 2023. But when you take the co-founder male off the team, it drops to less than $3 billion in less than 1,000 deals. So there are things that are improving. There are things that are moving. There are lots of opportunities and resources out there. Citrine Angels was formed on the premise that if you don't have more women writing checks and participating in this asset class, it is very often a you don't know what you don't know moment that I didn't know I could be an angel investor. I didn't know that this opportunity was out there. And then providing a platform to enter an entry point that is comfortable for more people than others. So we, along with Springboard and Julie and Karen, amazing female entrepreneurs doing incredible things, we hope that those numbers will ultimately change. I have my own opinions on why that still is the case when progress is being made in all these other areas, but we're doing better. We have a long way to go. That's like the mantra. We're doing well. Let's keep on going, but we got a long way to go.
So in terms of a long way to go and steps we can take, I'd be very interested to know, because there are people who are from different parts of the ecosystem and leaders across different parts of the ecosystem who we've spoken to in the past and who we're in touch with and who will see this podcast. What would be like some specific initiatives that as a different group we could unite around within our ecosystem to expand on our strength and to counter some of the weaknesses that we're experiencing for female founders? If you could establish a few key initiatives or think about a few key initiatives that everyone would come together and unite around to support female founders in ways that move it forward like you talked about, what would some of those be? And maybe, Natalie, we can kind of go back to starting with you again.
Great. Thank you. I mean, that's all I think about is how to elevate women entrepreneurs. So I think, we all need to come together and really seek opportunities to raise the visibility of top women entrepreneurs. And it's not always just about access to capital, although that's really important. All entrepreneurs need access to resources and strategic introductions and support in the market, of which, Tien and Lisa and Anthony have been so integral. And Tien has, showcased all entrepreneurs for decades now with Connectpreneur. It's also one of the reasons that Springboard is doubling down on our Dolphin Tank program series and community in the DC market. DC has been home base for us for 23 years. Post-pandemic, I know we've all seen a drop-off in the opportunities to get together in person and have these types of more community-based events. So we're going to, like I said, double down. We'll have more Dolphin Tank series programs and some community events this year to showcase top women entrepreneurs, surround them with key industry leaders and investors in the DC metro area. And I would invite you all, if you want to move the needle for women entrepreneurs, join us and Deloitte and some other key partners. We have opportunities to be on the host committee, sponsor, service chapter leaders. So there's a lot that's coming our way for 2024.
I was just going to say, I think, Tien with Connectpreneur, a lot, what I find helpful for a person in my position is just being able to have access to various types of investors and a diversified audience, so that for someone in their seed round, you're able to, make those introductions a little more easy than just like a blind email. And luckily, Julie, you were lucky in that respect. It's a long journey to raise a significant amount of capital, but I think having various events where they're also specific industry events, and maybe it's an industry specific type, but just where that you're in the presence of the right type of investor as well.
One other thing I would like to add is that, raising money, one of our first investors was Tedco, and I want to give them a shout out because in addition to the capital they gave us a lot of resources. So one of the things they gave us was access to a business coach who led me through this program. I think it was called From Founder to CEO. And it was so important and so helpful to me because I had never really led and managed people before. So having her, Blair as my coach really helped me, set the foundation for how I wanted to lead the company. And I think programs like that are so important because it really gives the founder a better chance at succeeding. The startup rate failure is so high. And I think just throwing money at people, it doesn't always do the job. But if you give them the capital that they need and then you give them some more resources, I think it really does set women entrepreneurs up for success in a much better way. And I'm just so grateful for that. I had no idea that was part of the deal when we were raising money and Tedco said they were interested. It was just such a great bonus. And I think it was really one of the key things that has allowed us to succeed and to continue going, because as we go through ups and downs with the company, I always have Blair to go to and she can help me, walk me through things. And it's just been so, so helpful. And like you said about Connectpreneur too, just meeting all these different industry leaders and having access to these resources that maybe you wouldn't have access to has been really helpful. But I think, even before we raise money as women, I think it's great to start going to these types of events and start meeting these types of people so that you can have a better understanding of the ecosystem. I know I said I started raising money 2 years ago. I think it's actually been longer than that now that we're in 2024. I guess it's been more like 3 or 4 years. But just learning about the ecosystem before raising money, I think really does help get a sense of what the ecosystem is like and how hard it is to raise money, how long it will take. The other thing I would mention is it takes a lot longer to raise money than you think it does. So
I think that's a big point that is not always communicated.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a really it's a really important point too, Julie, and I'll put my next hat on for just a quick moment in that, focusing on investor readiness and understanding the community of investors and understanding where your product or your service matches with a certain group of investors, whether it's more difficult in the CPG space, here or not, that is certainly the case, but being investor ready across all platforms and understanding who you need to go to find that right partner, that Tedco ended up providing all those other resources. At Citrine, we try to do that too. We try to get involved with our entrepreneurs. We help them raise additional capital. Honored and thrilled to say Sky Squad is one of our portfolio companies. So we try to sort of go that extra mile to help our entrepreneurs succeed down the road. But I think that there's an underlying, it would be interesting to me now we have all these AI capabilities. If there was on the venture side, on the evaluator side, those doing the analysis of companies, and I'm sure that this is coming and probably already out there in a variety of shapes and forms, but there are unconscious biases. Otherwise, this 2% number would not exist. I mean, I think you have to sort of address that. Women, for whatever reason, are not seen either possessing the same skill set or the same talents or the same aggressive nature, or call it whatever it is, as male entrepreneurs do. And there is that sort of implicit bias in there. And you couple that with this wonderful thing called motherhood, and you couple that with sort of a history of, of lower access, and you sort of bundle it all together, and out comes this 2% number that literally has been the same since 2008. I mean, it went up slightly, 22, 21, 2021, when everything went up, but now it's right back down. So the resources are important, the money's important, the education's important, the mentoring's important, but we also have to somehow come together and understand why this number has not changed.
And I think, like you said, some of the technology and resources in that area would be very, very helpful. And that, across all of what you've been talking about, I think these are really important conversations to have. And that is maybe another area that we can look at with what we do at the Monthly Blend, is to have more of these discussions and bring more of the people who can actually impact the changes together across these different areas around these topics. One last question before I hand it back to Tien is just in the trenches of where everybody is. That we've come out of a couple of very hot years with COVID, and there was this transition year last year. What are you all kind of seeing for yourselves and hearing from peers in the marketplace with respect to 2024?
I'm hearing that it's a really challenging time to raise money. That's the theme that I'm seeing and hearing. It's gotten way harder. If you can bootstrap, if you can find a way to break even, do that. That's what I'm hearing. And I'm also hearing, I think people like, the people that I've talked to are looking for more strategic investments versus just, an investment from any investor, just trying to work with people that might have some insight into their field that can help them kind of pave the way a little bit.
Yeah. And I guess having a diversified and long-term growth strategy, to the strategy point, since I'm in the CPG space, true innovation, there's a lot of companies that maybe compete with others, but they're not innovating. They're growing in a different way, but they're not really innovating and changing the space. And so that is something that we're on top of and doing organically. And I just think that from a fundraising standpoint, I've also heard about kind of diversifying, raising funds too, whether it's VC, angel, grants, what have you, loans, like just doing a mix to be creative.
We're seeing a lot of, at Citrine, bridge rounds, a lot of sort of, where they're follow rounds, their companies are doing well, they're getting there, but they're not quite ready, let's say, from seed to move to a full Series A. So we've seen a bunch of our follow-on rounds you could sort of qualify or quantify as a bridge round. But the companies, they are raising. We're doing follow-on rounds. We have other angel groups that are participating with us on these follow-on rounds. There's lots of activity. We're seeing great deal flow, great pipeline, building up for some really amazing, talented women doing incredible things, and not just female sort of focused companies, which I'm seeing more and more of that. Women doing cyber, women in, all these other areas that you don't necessarily associate with female founders. So hopefully we'll see more of that. I think that will also help change the numbers and move the needle. Natalie, to your point earlier. So I agree. I think it's certainly a challenging time, but I think deals are somewhat getting done, just perhaps not as quickly or as the amounts that were originally hoped for.
Yeah, I'll jump in and say same thing. I mean, we're seeing founders having a lot of anxiety around funding, but I can't say that it's dramatically different from other years. I mean, Tien, we've been around a long time, so this is kind of the normal cycle once you've seen it so many times. Valuations are down and there's continued economic uncertainty, but I can't say that it's dramatically different from other times. There is an increasing higher expectation from investors for companies to achieve a faster road to profitability. So I think their ability to accept risk has dramatically lowered. And then if we look at industries from an industry perspective, I think AI is going to continue to be the shiny new object in 2024 as we kind of weigh out its benefits and risks. Healthcare is still being disrupted, which it very much needs to be, through technology innovation and also an increased speed to market new life sciences innovation. I mean, the whole COVID era showed us that we can move things much more quickly through the life sciences innovation pipeline. And then on the opposite end, we're really seeing a trend that moves patient care all the way to the edge, forcing the patient themselves to take on more of the burden in managing their health and wellness. And a lot of those are coming through in healthcare platforms that are more patient-centric or patient-friendly, convenient healthcare options. And I would say a good example of those types of companies that we've seen that are Springboard portfolio companies. One is Everly Health. They're a unicorn, home lab testing kits and virtual visits. Another DMV-based company, Be Well, which is improving healthcare through putting greater data access and control and insights into the hands of the consumer. Another fun one that's newish, Dr. Elizabeth Claiborne from NasoClip, which has a nosebleed device. She's an ER room physician and thought, why does everybody have to come to the ER for this? I've got a solution. So these are examples of kind of pushing healthcare and patient care to the edge. So we're seeing a lot of that.
Well, thanks so much for sharing insights around the ecosystem. And now I'm going to turn it back to Tien.
Great. Thank you so much, Anthony. This 2% number is really annoying me, guys. I remember 2017, we had a fireside with Steve Case. In 2017, this is the first I heard that the number was 2%. That was almost, 6.5 years ago. And Lisa, you said that we haven't made progress since 2008, which is just ludicrous in my opinion.
Far back is right.
And you cited the research that's showing outperformance by companies with female founders or females on the founding team, and even in the public markets. So, and I'm listening to you guys, I'm taking notes, fundraising is hard. It is hard. It's really hard. But I have a question for Natalie and Lisa, which is basically, what one piece of advice or what kind of advice would you give to a female founder out there who's, dealing with this 2% problem? Maybe it's not as bad in the DC area. I hope it's not. But how do they stay strong and what can they do to increase their odds? Natalie, you want to lead us off?
Happy to start. I know I want to insert something first and then I'll answer the question. Stay tuned. We are going to debunk that 2%. We have a publication coming out soon on it. We should never be measuring just women by themselves. There is no measurement out there for men by themselves. So I'll just start there. That's kind of a teaser. But when I, and just talking about one thing, I can't just do one. So first, revenue is the cheapest form of capital. So all of us need to be thinking towards how can we become profitable more quickly, or at least be able to tell your revenue story extremely effectively to garner the interest and support of investors. Even if you feel it, don't look desperate. It's not a good look. It's not going to serve you. And we see a lot of that. People just get really anxious about it and it becomes obvious. And that is going to instantly lower their confidence in you. And then, and I see this more for women entrepreneurs or first-time entrepreneurs. That's probably more fair. Study up on your investor targets to really make sure you're aligned. It takes time up front, but it's going to save you so much time in the long run. And what I see happen is people will build, first-time entrepreneurs will build their pipeline with all of these really highly aspirational targets, of whom many are not a fit. And then they keep them on the pipeline and they invest time in it. And then they wonder why they're not getting anywhere. So just be really smart about your approach to the market. Ask around, network the heck out of your service providers. Attorneys and banks are fantastic resources for really understanding who in the market might be appropriate for you.
Super advice. That's awesome. Lisa, as an investor, any thoughts for how female founders can get some capital?
Yeah, well, I totally agree with everything Natalie just mentioned, and we'll just sort of double down and add an exclamation point around this investor readiness that we talked about earlier as well. It is really, really critical. And I agree with first-time founders maybe it's slightly different. I mean, like you said, Julie, like you've never done this before, you didn't know. Thankfully, TEDCO gave you those additional resources, but really this whole notion of investor readiness and not rush it. You don't have to raise capital right away. As Natalie mentioned, revenue is the best form of capital, but know your path, understand your path. Not every company is venture backable, so understand your alternatives, understand your investors, as we talked about, and have your I's dotted and your T's crossed, and come in bold. Come in, this is an opportunity. You're not asking, you're offering. And you'd be shocked how many times we see, and not just female entrepreneurs, but entrepreneurs get up and just don't know their stuff and don't know the answer to simple, metric questions or, strategy questions. So all this advice overlays for everybody. But, as we've noted, since it is harder for female founders to get that first check, making sure that you're prepared and ready and you're in front of the right people. You got that one bite at the apple a lot of the time. So be in the right place at the right time and be aggressive and be bold.
Wow, fantastic advice. And while we're on the advice train, I'd like to ask Julie and Karen, what was the inspiration for you guys to take the leap and start your business? And Julie, maybe we can start first. How do you guys stay up? It's entrepreneurship is super hard. We all know that. It's up and down like a roller coaster. You guys are moms, you're balancing, work, life, family. There's so much stuff going on, and you're trying to get this business off the ground. And I know, Julie, you've been grinding for several years because I know we were introduced many years ago, but how do you guys do it?
Great question. I was thinking about this morning. I think, when I had this idea, I started the initial company called Nanny in the Clouds in 2012. And the reason why I wanted to start this company was because I just really struggled at the airport with my son. And I thought there are millions of people who are struggling just like me. And there was like this force of this feeling like I have to get this done. I have to start this company. I have to start this company. So I worked on it for 2 years. Didn't really work. We moved to the East Coast. I took a break, did something else. I did PR. And then I kept getting requests for this old company. And I was obsessed with making it happen. And I think that's one thing that I would say is if you're not really obsessed with this mission, I just don't think it's going to work. It really is hard. And I just had such, I was just literally so excited to go out there and help the airports be a more friendly place, and it seems so funny to me now because it's so many years later. But I think that driving force is really what got me through the ups and downs of the beginning. I mean, there's so many doors that were slammed in my face. They continue to be slammed in my face every day. I get so many more no's than I get yeses. And it really is hard. And I think you really have to have a positive mindset. There are some days where I'm oh my gosh, what am I doing? Am I on the right track? But I think that knowing your mission and getting feedback from your customers, we have great reviews. When you I look at our Google reviews every day, and the feedback is so positive. It literally keeps me going. And I do also think it's really helpful to have mentors, just being able to talk to Lisa sometimes. She has so many great ideas. She's been through this. That is so helpful because I can see that she's had this journey. Where did it go? She's had a successful, experience with it. And I feel like looking at other women entrepreneurs that have been through this while balancing motherhood and kids and getting them to school, it makes me feel like it's possible. So I think there's just so many things to help you have a better experience as an entrepreneur. And if you can just surround yourself with people that have done it, I think it's really, really helpful.
Yeah, I would certainly agree with that. And being able to immerse yourself as much as possible with support and encouragement to be able to stay up and have that confident mindset is so important, and that passion, because without it, to your point, I don't think a business could succeed. The inspiration for me to take the leap was really, I worked for 19 years in the entertainment advertising industries and content production, running operations. And so I left in 2020 and really never looked back. And I cannot feel better about that decision to leave and start my own company and, just run it, take the lead and run with it. Veza Innovations organically came to fruition from an issue I had with my son during mealtime. And because I knew I would be able to positively make an impact on the lives of so many with the products that we have now and that we'll be coming out with, I never look back. And to Julie's point, I have the passion to make it big and the endurance to truly build an empire, and I'm just going for it. So just keep going.
Yeah. I mean, you guys are both driven by your sort of true north, your passion, your sort of what drives you. And that's really great. I think that's really important for entrepreneurs to tap into that. We're almost running out of time here. So I have a final question for the four of you. How can our viewers and listeners get involved? What are your goals for this year? What are your big needs, and how can our community get involved? Lisa, why don't we start with you?
Sure. At Citrine Angels, we have regular events that the public can come to. Follow us on LinkedIn. Our website is citrineangels.com. We have regular office hours, both for entrepreneurs looking for funding, as well as for women looking to become an angel investor. So sign up for the office hours. Always reach out to me. Happy to answer any questions. If you are a woman and you have any interest in this area at all, please consider joining us. It's under $1,000 for the year, and we have no minimum requirement to invest. And that is because we want to provide a really solid platform to educate you about what it means to be an angel investor, help you learn how to evaluate companies, and then hopefully jump on the bandwagon with us to support female founders. So please check out citrineangels.com.
Thank you, Lisa. How about you, Natalie? You guys are global footprint. You got a lot going on. How can we get involved and help you guys?
Well, specifically, watch our website for the announcement on the Dolphin Tank series for DC. It'll be about putting great women entrepreneurs on stage and pulling the community together to keep supporting them throughout their journey. So that's coming up. Watch in the media for this upcoming article about the 2% and debunking that. And once you see that, start spreading the news. And just check us out on springboardenterprises.org. I'm also easy to reach on LinkedIn, Natalie Buford-Young. So love to hear from folks and connect and see how we can plug you into the great things that we're doing.
Thank you so much. And Julie, how about yourself? I think we all have problems getting through airports still.
Yeah.
How can we help with that?
Yeah, well, if you're traveling through Baltimore, we are available. Sky Squad can help you either on your departure, your connection, your arrival. We have a great team in Baltimore to help you with your bags, get you through security a little faster with our priority line and get you to your gate. And we're hoping to expand to another Florida airport soon, hopefully. But yeah, if you're flying through Fort Lauderdale, if you're flying Spirit, let us know. We can help you. And we're in Las Vegas, Philadelphia. I'm trying to remember where else we are. Las Vegas, Philadelphia, Fort Lauderdale, Baltimore right now. I'm sure I'm forgetting something, but we're
Sky Squad. My parents use Sky Squad, and they said they'll never travel to the airport without her.
Yes, we love helping this family. So let us know how we can help. And, if you have any ideas, if you would like it to see us in other airports, let us know. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn.
Great.
Julie, Karen, you have the last word.
Awesome. So we are currently in our seed round. We're raising, I think the most helpful thing right now is anyone interested in potentially having a conversation would be amazing. We have one investor on board right now. We're raising 1.5 million, which will get us to market within the year. And so this year's timeline is simple and clear cut. We're going to close our seed round in March, start development work in April, and launch by December, which point we'll start developing our next tech-heavy product. But you can follow our journey on Instagram. We're at Veza, VEZA_innovations. And you can get more links at our website, vezainnovations.com, and reach out there too.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I would like to thank all of you guys for joining and sharing, and wish everybody a new year. I think hopefully financial markets will be a little bit looser than we're feeling, but you guys are awesome and you're doing terrific things. And we're really grateful to have had you on the show today. And let me turn it over to Anthony, who's got some closing remarks.
Great. Thank you, Tien. And, Natalie and Lisa, thank you so much for all of your leadership in our ecosystem. You drive it forward every day, and the impact that you both have had and will continue to have is really immeasurable. So we really appreciate it. And Julie and Karen, your passion just shines through today. And in terms of showing other founders and entrepreneurs how you can do something that is so challenging, but also so rewarding and so exciting, and the importance of that passion. And you're both an inspiration, I think, to founders who will listen to our show and just all the people that you touch in the marketplace. And so thank you all four of you for joining us today.
Thank you
So much for having us. This has been a lot of fun.
Thank you.
You guys are awesome.